Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. I believe this might actually be the last belt on the list. I think I might be out of belts. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I don't have any more belts. Oh no. I'm stupid, I know. This is the Snowclash Battle Belt. Now the Snowclash Battle Belt is kind of analogous to the Thunder God's Vigor. It is very similar in a lot of ways. The Thunder Gods gives very nice lightning skills, gives lightning absorption, and maximum lightning resistance, while the Snowclash Battle Belt also gives cold absorption, cold maximum resistance, and cold skills. So very, very similar. Now this particular belt has 116 to defense. It has a strength requirement of 88 and a level requirement of 42. And the strength requirement is very nice because usually you're going to be using this on a Sorceress. Now, you could also use this on a non-Sorceress if you specifically wanted to get the cold absorption along with the maximum cold resist. So keep that in mind. We also have a 5% chance to cast level 20 Blizzard when struck. And this is actually pretty powerful if you're using this on a Sorceress who is actually using these particular abilities. So if we take a look at Blizzard in D2 and we look at the ability, we will find out that Blizzard actually does a pretty large amount of damage at level 20. So we're looking at 655 to 711 damage. And this is it's very nice, but it also synergizes. So if we were to actually be running a Blizzard Sorceress, for instance, what is this? 5% from Ice Bolt, 5% from Ice Blast, and 5% from Glacial Spike. So let's assume we have max synergies in Blizzard. So we're rocking 555. So 15 times 20. Which means we have a 300% damage bonus to this damage. So we're looking at 655%. Or sorry, 655 plus 300%, which means that the procced effect is going to do 2,620 to, let's see, 711 plus 300%, 2,844 damage, which is going to be pretty darn nice. Now, granted, it does eat up one of your delays, but if you're in the middle of getting beaten to death, I suppose you're probably not attacking anyway. And we also have to factor in, of course, Cold Mastery, which is going to bring down the resistance of the monster that you're fighting. And if it goes below 0%, he's going to be taking extra damage. And it can go as low as negative 100%, which means that we could potentially be getting 2 times 2,844, which is very, very nice from something that is literally just proccing when we get beat up. We also get 13 to 21 cold damage, which doesn't do us any good. We get +2 to chilling armor, which is very nice. We get +2 to blizzard and +3 to glacial spike. Now, this particular belt, I do believe, has some variances. Let me just double check here. Snowclash Battle Belt. So we do not have variances on the skills. Interesting. I always thought there was a little bit of variance on the skills. But they are 2 to chilling armor every single time, 2 to blizzard every single time, and 3 to glacial spike every time. So very, very nice. We also have 170% enhanced defense, which does vary between 130 to 170%. And given that this is actually giving you chilling armor, and you can beef it up even further, that defense could mean a lot in terms of multiplying it with your skills. We also get 15% to maximum cold resistance, which I was talking about earlier, and 15 cold absorb, which is very nice. So not only does it give us an enhancement to our maximum resistance, we are also getting an extra cold absorption on top of that, which is going to make it so that we actually absorb cold damage when it comes in. So if an attack comes in, for instance, with 100 cold damage, we will take 15 of that cold damage right off the top, and it will go down to 85. And then we will heal ourselves for another 15 once the attack is finished. So it will go down another 15 to, what is that, 70? 80, 90, 100. Yeah, so 70 damage instead of 100, which is very nice. It works very well on small damage attacks, not as well on large damage attacks. Like, for instance, if a cold damage attack comes in for 15, it'll just absorb the entire thing. If a cold damage attack comes in for 15,000, it's still only going to absorb 15. So Interesting. It's also important to note that with Cold Absorb, you have to have the HP to absorb the initial attack before it heals you. So you're still going to take the 85 damage, and then it will heal you for the 15 after. And if you don't have 85 health, it won't heal you. So if you only have 84 health and it supposedly does 85 damage, you just die. It's interesting. Now, it is important to note that it actually grants you these skills. So whether you actually have them or not, you will just be given Glacial Spike. As you can see, I have none of the prerequisites for either of these abilities, and now I have both of them. But unlike Thunder God's Vigor, they don't really have very much damage, and they're not extremely useful without synergies. Now, Glacial Spike could be moderately useful without synergies because it does have a freezing effect on it, but only really for the freezing effect. If I take a look, let's go into Stony Field and see if I can find some little fallen shamans, and I'll show you what I mean. So as you can see, we have a nice little freezing effect. And so using Glacial Spike specifically for the freezing effect could be interesting, just as a crowd control option. Obviously, the damage on it isn't going to be very good, but with plus to skill equipment and things like that, you could definitely beef up the duration a little bit. And as you can see, the monster is completely incapable of fighting back while he's frozen. It does not work on bosses, unfortunately, and it also does not work on monsters that are immune to cold, so keep that in mind. Now, because of the plus to skills, Snowclash actually becomes a best-in-slot item for specifically Blizzard and Glacial Spike Sorceresses. So if you are a Glacial Spike Sorceress, it is the only way that you're going to get +3 Glacial Spike on a belt. And if you are a Blizzard Sorceress, that's the only way you're going to get +2 Blizzard on a belt. The only other option, of course, is Arachnid's Mesh, which is +1 to skills, but this is +3 to a specific skill, which in the specific case of Glacial Spike, it could be the superior choice. And with Blizzard, it's +2 instead of +1. So we keep that in mind. It also has a nice defensive mechanic versus cold damage, which is certainly nice to have. Now, where would you find this belt if you specifically wanted to locate one? Well, we're going to have to go take a look at Silo's Pen, and we'll have a look-see where the best probability is. So, Snowclash belt. Let's go down, down, down to the bottom of the town. Doot, doot, doot. I must have passed it. A snake cord. That's not what I'm looking for. Hey, wait a minute. I haven't done a video on snake cord yet. I think snake cord might be the last belt. Well, dang it. Snake cord is such a terrible belt. My last video on the belts is going to be the terrible one. There really does not a lot good going on with that belt. It really is not. So let's assume 150% magic find and players 1. And we're going to take a look at non-quest kills. And it does look like Andorial in Hell difficulty is our best bet with 1 and 1,862. Not bad. We also have Bale in Hell difficulty and Bale in Nightmare difficulty are both decent chances. Let me arrange that one more time because it seemed like something was messed up there. Non-quest kill. So Bale in Nightmare is our best shot, with Diablo and Nightmare being our second best shot. And then Hell and Doriel. Very interesting. And Hell Mephisto is not too far behind, so that's interesting. And Hell Diablo is not too far behind either. So a lot of that nice boss kills can definitely drop this item. That's very interesting. Even Duriel has a decent chance, although he trolls us with Scrolls of Town Portal, so we veto him. Vetoed! Veto! As far as bosses are concerned, it looks like the Cow King has a pretty nice chance. We also have Neelathak in Nightmare and Neelathak in Hell. But these guys really don't have very good chances to drop this. 1 in 20,000 is kind of awful. I mean, granted, there's Thresh Socket, Eldritch the Rectifier. We got Lord Decease, Infector of Souls, Shank, Bishibosh in Hell normal difficulty, or Hell difficulty. Rakanishu, Treehead, Woodfist. Not a lot of really good probabilities here, but a lot of monsters that have a chance to drop it. So so interesting. Well, all in all, it definitely is an interesting belt, and although it does seem specifically made for a sorceress, you could certainly utilize this belt if you wanted to for the maximum cold resistance and the cold absorption. It could make an interesting option for creating a sort of a cold immunity, so to speak. Like maybe you were going up against a cold sorceress in PvP or something, and you just wanted as much cold absorption as you could possibly get. You could stack Ravenfrost, you could throw Battle Belt in there, they could Snowclash in there. You could put on a couple different items. There's actually a shield very specifically that has a lot of cold absorption on it, if I remember correctly. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but I know there's a shield with a large amount of cold absorption. But keep in mind that if you are PvPing against a cold sorceress, cold sorceresses, of course, have cold mastery, which is going to reduce your resistance. So you're going to need to overprotect yourself from cold resistance. This is where things get tricky. You're probably going to need something with a massive amount of cold resistance on it to protect yourself. I actually was thinking about this the other day, and Medusa's Gaze actually already has 80% cold resistance on it, which is huge. And if you had enough strength to wield it, you could certainly grab a Medusa's Gaze, throw a Sapphire in there, make it even more resistant to cold, and should you ever be in a situation where you're going up PvP against that particular kind of character, you could put on Medusa's Gaze for a little while. It also has a slows target buy effect on it, which could be useful in PvP, and it would give you the overprotection versus the cold that you need, combined with a slow to slow the sorceress down, hopefully making it a little bit easier for you to catch her and kill her. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when I make a mistake and say this is the last belt that we were doing a video on, even when there's one more called Snake Court. And as always, keep watching.